"I was terrified." That's an exact quote from a witness who was invited to testify by the defense today in the trial of Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenek, as he was reflecting on his time at the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade and his fear of what he described as an intimidating and militaristic police presence. Robert Kraychik reporting for Rebel News here in Lethbridge, Alberta. Both Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenek are charged with conspiracy to murder. The Crown is accusing the two men of conspiring to murder police officers during their time at the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade. They're both also charged with unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose, mischief over $5,000. Anthony Olenek is additionally charged with unlawful possession of an explosive device for a dangerous purpose. The two accused have pled not guilty to all charges against them. The law enforcement presence at the 2022 Coutts protest and blockade, which was mostly composed of RCMP officers, was terrifying, intimidating, and militaristic, according to the description offered by Daryl Nolan Jorgensen, a man from southern Alberta who was there at the demonstration, who was invited to testify during today's proceedings by Marilyn Burns, the lawyer for Anthony Olenek.
Well, when you get surrounded by 30, 40 cops and a helicopter and drones, and we're completely peaceful protest, I don't know what you would call it short of almost militant. Like, when you're scared out of your wits, you don't know what to do. I've never done this before.
And as far as the actual police themselves, maybe you can describe what it was that you observed on the police, or the volume of police officers that contributed to your impression of finding it scary.
Well, my impression, they had an agenda that was sent down from above, and it was to end that no matter what. And they were going to do anything and pull any stunt they could to get us out of there. Well, when they put that vaccine in, that you couldn't cross the border, I have a small trucking company, 3 trucks. We were done instantly. Because then I'm not going to force anybody for my gain to take a shot.
Why is this trial important? Why should Canadians care? What's at stake?
Well, your freedoms are at stake. You want to keep letting the government take them away? Just don't do anything about it. You start standing up like we're going to have to, because, just all you got to do is look around. Justin Trudeau's just completely running amok. And so is his whole party.
Lambert's testimony directly relates to this trial in that it echoes similar fears, concerns, and worries that we all saw and heard expressed by Anthony Olenek in video of the RCMP's interview of the defendant that took place shortly after his arrest on February 14th, 2022. In that video, which we published at Rebel News, by the way, you can repeatedly hear Anthony Olenek say that he is worried that police may begin using extreme violence against the protesters at Coutts. He speaks about them gunning down civilians and children, and describes himself as a sheepdog who was there to protect protesters in the event that such extreme violence may occur and be launched by the police. Small little journalistic update. I got this evidentiary exhibit released to me today, which contains phone calls that were intercepted and recorded by the RCMP that involved the two defendants, Chris Carbert and Anthony Olenek. Also, want to give a shout out of gratitude to court staffers who have repeatedly been very helpful with my requests here at the Lethbridge courthouse, and also the parties involved, the judge, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, and the defendants. No one has raised any real objections to any of my requests thus far, and that's made my journalistic project easier to do. I want to remind you folks out there in our dear audience that we're the only sizable media outlet here with a consistent presence. We've been here every day of the trial. I've essentially never seen so-called mainstream media folks out here. And unlike them, we're not getting handouts from the federal government to toe that company line. So we depend on you folks to keep this operation going, to keep this journalistic enterprise into the future. So please visit truckertrial.com, contribute to our operational costs, and stay up to date with our ongoing coverage.